start this episode of the Drebrief, I have a confession to make. I'm a new IndyCar fanboy. It was friend of the show Elusive Kev who first suggested I give the series a try, and while the 2015 season took a little while to get going, I mean seriously, why does anyone still race at Long Beach? Barber rolled around, Graham Rahal had an insane charge to nearly rob Joseph Newgarden of his first win, and I was hooked. The amazing thing about IndyCar, when comparing it back to my ex-wife of a series in Formula 1, you realise that in many good ways, IndyCar is just about everything Formula 1 isn't. First of all, IndyCar has drivers with some actual personality and character in its stacked roster. I'll keep this brief, but IndyCar has candidates the Mayor of Hinchtown, James Hinchcliffe, who might be the most charismatic driver in all of motorsport, and he shares a brilliant bromance with Marco Andretti, newcomer Connor Daly, emerging superstar Joseph Newgarden, and more. We still have Monty being Monty, Will Power is passionate and honest, and Helio Castroneves is basically the series version of the Fonz mixed with Joey from Friends. Wonder whatever happened to that guy. On the F1 side of things, the closest thing we have is Daniel Ricciardo, who, given the fact he smiles a lot and listens to Arcade Fire, is basically F1's version of a 14-year-old girl. No wonder he has such an enormous bandwagon following. I mean, sure, Chevrolet was the overpowered team last season, but the title was very nearly won by Honda's Graham Rahal, who at this point was pretty much him putting the entire motorsport department on his back, given the struggle of Marc Marquez and McLaren Honda respectively. And given the series is practically spec besides the engine supplier, with ground effect aero, F1's newest entertainment-saving buzzword, you often get very close racing, more impactful strategy calls, and as a result, for the most part, better racing and genuine unpredictability. And as a mutual fan, do you really want another 10 Hamilton wins next season? And heck, we get ovals too, with the obvious spectacle of the Indy 500, as well as Fontana and Iowa stealing the shows as fantastic races, as the season had 9 different winners, a title fight that went down to the final round, and a series where double points actually worked, giving Sonoma 6 potential title winners and Scott Dixon winning it all on countback. And even off the track, for a long time, Formula 1 had near zero social media presence. Just a boring, slow news account that would retweet news 12 hours late, remind you to download their race calendar, and cheekily follow porn stars on the fly. And while to their credit they've massively improved, IndyCar blows them out of the water with a far more fan-friendly Twitter, regular re-uploads of full races in their video library, as well as current races. They promote their own podcast series, The Mayor on Air, and promote genuinely hilarious comedy content in the off-season to keep the fans entertained and excited, something the corporate, stuffy F1 world could really take advantage of. Now look, I'm not going out of my way to bash F1 to oblivion here. I love their series for many reasons too, and I'm a self-admitted F1 masochist, so it's going to be hard for me to ever truly turn my back on it completely. Not to mention, I know there's a good chance if you're watching this, you probably have the exact same mentality. But growing up as a wrestling fan during the Monday Night Wars and when TNA tried to be a legitimate threat to the WWE, I learned that variety is not always the spice of life, and that alternatives can be genuinely great. At least this way, you're not overly disappointed when F1 shits the bed again, or if Valentino Rossi tries to hold MotoGP to ransom. IndyCar has become my new true F1 alternative and has been able to expand my passion for motorsport and found a bunch of new amazing people to admire. Now, I'm not saying you should drop everything and hop on the bandwagon, but what I will say is, don't be that guy who sits at home and watches every F1 race in 2016, constantly bashing the product and hoping for the one race out of 10 that justifies your chore of watching. There's a big wide world of motorsport out there. It may just be worth exploring.